Master, sweet ladies, I'm Hugo, the Lord's nephew. The Feast of All Souls, I ran for my tutor. Latin and grammar, no wonder. I ran through the woods where I saw his tracks. This big, in mud he scratched bottom side the trees. Followed his friends straight to his bed and found it warm. There's a boar in the forest. I went back, and there's my uncle, rod in his hand, but he did not strike. I told him, there's a boar in the forest. Why then, we'll go hunting. And as for you, go hunt like a man, or be flogged like a boy. He'll kill the boar, and I'll give you the kidneys. Turn tail, and I'll have the skin off your back. That night, I dreamed of the hunt. The underbush moved, stirring, the snort of the boar, its foul mouth foaming, its tusks like scimitars. Those tusks can slice a man, but that's not the worst. The man who dies from a wound of a boar loses his soul. Dawn came. We mounted. Long before noon, the dogs caught the scent, and the hunt was on. 2 rallies of hounds, screaming most sore. The third faint with fatigue. I could smell my sweat, ranked with fear. And then, it was like my dream, the underbush moved, and the stakes shattered. I saw it, bristling, dark as the devil, huge as a horse. My uncle dismounted. I did the same. My legs were like straw, but I walked. Mouth dry, palms wet, one hand forward on a spear, one foot ahead. It charged. My uncle lunged, and I behind him. Thrust! Felt the spear pierce. Braced myself in the armpit, shoved. It took a long time, the dogs keen and the boar struggling, blood on the grass, but I stood my ground. At last it was over. The brute lay still. I almost wept. The joy of it and the terror. I gasped like a fish, and my head fell back. The green leaves swam in the sky. He kept his word right there in the woods. We kindled the fire and butchered the boar. The kidneys were mine, gleaming with fat. He clapped my back and called me a man. But dark of the night, I hear that sound, sweat in my sleep, and spear slips through my hands. I dream that I'm back at the woods with that boar.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I am Taggett, the blacksmith's daughter. 9 days it's been since the Maying, and I am restless yet. Mother hasn't seen it, nor father nor Robin. Only the horses know. It was May Day, and the others, even father and mother at their age, set off into the woods, wanting bluebells and cowslip and kissing under the trees. I used to go when I was little. I liked to pick flowers and peek. But I'm older now. My friends have sweethearts. There's no one for me. I know why. I'm too tall, father says. His father was a giant of a man, and somehow his size came down to me. It's a world of trouble. You'll save yourself, says mother. Childbearing and child dying, and no doubt she's right. I wept and hogs are slaughtered. I'm not strong enough to bear nor lose. My fine girl, that's father. He taught me the work of the forge, and even Rob admits there's no one better to quiet a horse. I lay my hands on them and feel their trembling. I know how they feel. They're like me, timid. So I breathe sweet peace to them, not with my lips, but through my fingers. And they hear me, not with their ears, but through their skin. The others went to Maying, and I stayed behind, spitting in the sunshine. The morn was as clean as glass, and I was as happy as a singing bird. And then he came, leading his horse, and the horse was limping, head down, as fine a horse as I've ever seen. A fair palfrey, a wondrous horse, but I was gazing at the boy. He had brown hair, not golden like the nights and the stars. His eyes were as dark as rivers, the glorious was his face. The shape of it I have no words. He wore a blue cloak, bluer than the sky, and in his clasp was a sprig of white hawthorn. He had been a Maying, and how I hated her, the girl he might have kissed. I was ashamed to be caught staring, but I put my hands on palfrey. He jumped as boys do, ran my hands down lame legs, picked up the hoof and saw a stone caught between the hoof and the shoe. a grievous thing. Is the blacksmith in? His voice is like his face, proud and courteous. My palms were sweating. I can ease him. I led the horse to the forge, and the master followed. I could tell right away he loved his horse. I don't know what he thought the maid should know how to shoe a horse. He may have been startled, I dared look. I set to work, my hands were steady. All the time I was fishing for something to say. A fine morning, or even, what is your name? But I knew who he was. Hugo, they call him. I never did speak, though I thought if I opened my mouth, he'd know my whole heart. When I was finished, I wiped my hands on my apron. I wiped my hands on my apron. He held out a coin, a fan. I stumbled. I reached out my hand, shoved it away, and then touching him was what did it. My face got hot. I could almost hear Robin. Taggart's blushing. Look it, Taggart's red. I turned and ran back to the house, crouched with my back to the door. I hid my hands in my face. I don't know why or for how long. Afterwards, I went outside back to the forge. He was gone by then, long gone. Seems a long life. I may live 50 years and not see him again. Thinking that, I bent my head and saw lying on the anvil a miracle, that sprig of white hawthorn from his cloak. It were on the ground. It may have fallen, but it was on the anvil. I picked it up as if it were holy. I couldn't stop smiling. He left it for me.
Good masters, sweet ladies. I am Alice the shepherdess. My mother died when I was born, so I was suckled by one of the sheep. It's made me, my father says, more sheep than human, which is true. All my life I've lived with sheep, drunk their milk, eaten their meat, washed their fleece, carded their wool, and now that I'm older, I help with the lambing. My hands are small, which is good if you've reached inside a sheep. Jilly is my favorite. She's my sister. The same mother gave us milk. Most sheep don't care, one way or another, but Jilly's sweet of heart. I love the feel of her chin in the palm of my hand. I love the smell of her on my fingers. It was last spring that I wakened and knew something was wrong. Jilly, what's amiss? And she only stared with the blank, dark eyes of a beast in pain. I walked behind her, lifted her tail, and saw the head of a dead lamb sticking out between her legs. She'd been struggling to push out that lamb, God knows how long, and me lying asleep. I rubbed goose grease on my hands, reached inside. She was bone dry. I know I hurt her, dragging out that lamb, and she lay on the ground as motionless as death. I called the old shepherd and made him look at her. He said she would die. She's given up, he said. Sheep don't fight. That's why they need shepherds. I started to cry, and old Ralph saw. There's one thing, he said. I wiped my nose on my sleeve. What's that? You might try singing. No one knows why, but sheep fancy music. They do. So all that day and all that night, I stayed by Jill and sang. God restore thee, thou heavenly sheep, hark to my music and heal in thy sleep. It was really a song for the Virgin Mary, but I changed the words. I sang it over and over, and the stars came out. Do not forsake me, my sister, my sheep. Slumber ye gently and heal in thy sleep. I stroked her fleece and felt her chest 100 times to see if she was breathing. The moon crossed the sky, there was dew on the grass, the morning star rose, and I sang. Best of all in the flock that I
sister, my friend, my lambkin Jilly, thou heavenly sheep. Lullaby, lully, and heal in thy sleep. I sang until my voice was hoarse, and I was shivering so hard I couldn't go on. Then I wrapped my arms around Jill, lay down by her side, and slept. I must have slept well, because she got away from me. When I opened my eyes, the sky was full red, and Jill was standing up, cropping her grass.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I am Thomas the doctor's son. My father is the noble Lord's physician. I am bound to carry on tradition. With every patient that my father cures, I learn more medicine. Ordinary souls will heal with comfrey, or the white of an egg. And eel skin takes the cramping from a leg. I know 5 kinds of fever and 4 humors. Bloodletting, and the way to feel for tumors. I know stars and movements planetary. With one whiff, I can sniff out dysentery. Also, I'm practicing the way to soothe my patients and to make them pay. They swear at us when we demand our fee, but what man can afford to work for free? A healthy man is careless with a bill. You have to make them pay when they are ill. When first you see a sick man, feel his brow and say, you should have called me before now. If given time, I vanquish all complaints, but as it is, we'll act as the saints. Make sure you pray and that your heart is quiet. Think of ways to simplify your diet. That trencher full of medicine I see is much too rich. Just hand it back to me. After the prayer, let the patient rest and tell his family, I'll do my best to fight this sickness, but I fear his fate. It may be that you called me too late. Shake your head, look serious and wise. This sort of talk protects you if he dies. If he recovers, it was all your skill that brought him back to life, and that's better still.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I'm Constance the Pilgrim. I am a pilgrim to Winifred's Well, for St. Winifred's Well will heal me. When I come back, I will have no need of a cloak to conceal me. Though I was born crook-backed, crippled, and fell, I will be healed at St. Winifred's Well. St. Winifred was a beautiful maid, and the evil Caradoc desired her. He sought to seize her against her will, but her love of God inspired her. And when she refused him, full of dread, he took up his sword and smote off her head. But there was a miracle. Winifred's blood was crystal clear and flowed like a wave. The good earth opened. The evil Caradoc was swallowed unshriven, sucked into his grave. And Winifred's neck went back to her head, though she had the scar always, or so it is said. But though she recovered, the magical spring comes forth clear and clean to this self-same day. And so, though my journey may be long and hard, I will kneel by the shrine of the well and pray. For a hunchback's life is a life of scorn, and I have no more sorrow than tears can tell,
There are times when I wish it were not so, but I will be healed at St. Winifred's Well.
Good master, sweet ladies, I'm Mog the villain's daughter. My father died last winter. Also the chickens choked themselves, thrushed and turned sick. After all the trouble I had, plucking their grass and cleaning their muck, and not one egg. What was I saying? My father died. Lay down with fever, he can't lift his hand, I thought. Well, he's sick in the straw, not to me, nor mother, nor wee Jack. But then he grew worse. Mog, says mother, you have to take the grain to the mill. I took that great sack, but the mill wasn't turning. The kingpin was broken. I waited 8 hours. Now deep in thrush to grind my meal and give the Lord his share. That's the law. You have to grind at the Lord's mill if it's broken a day and a night. I waited, cursing under my breath, till they fixed it. They ground my corn and took their cut. I trod home, my shoes soaked and my teeth chattering. By the time I got home, he was dead. I prayed for him. He wasn't a good man. Always out-drunk, mother can only see from one eye. But he was strong and canny with his pennies. Somehow, he saved up enough money for a cow. Our cow. We call her Paradise, a good red brindle, not 6 years old, and strong enough to plow, sweet-breathed, sweet-tempered, and bonny. Jack and I slept with her all last winter. Her body was warm, and her dung patched the roof. A calf for the spring, and milk for the market. Paradise. Then mother tells me the Lord has his rights. Harriet, they call it. When a man dies, the Lord has his right to the best beast he had. It's his right, she said, but I paid her no heed. Forsooth, I could have killed father for dying. He came early, a dapple gray horse, and a ring on his finger, pinched his nose high when he enters our hut, peers at our livestock, fish-eyed. I didn't say a word. I was staring at the cow in the straw. Not our cow, but Tam's. Tam Bywater's cow. Mangy, ribs showing and breathing like bellows. A beast not worth the price of its hide. And mother is scrambling and fawning. If you please, sir, begging your lordship's pardon, there's mother so weak and blind in one eye, her hair falling out and her shirt full of holes, making a fool of his lordship. So he took the best of the pigs. I would have chose the same in his place. We curtsied. Mother kissed his hand. We watched him ride off and waited till dark to take back Paradise.
And I shall be the miller when my father's flesh is cold. I know the fate of the business. It's been drummed into my head. How to cheat the hungry customer and earn my daily bread. Oh, God makes the water, and the water makes the river,
and the river turns to the mill wheel, and the wheel goes on forever. Every man's a cheater, and so every man is fed, for we feed upon each other when we seek our daily bread. My father is a hard man, muscular and stout. He swings a heavy cudgel whenever he walks out. My grandfather was like him, a man of gain and sin. They found him in a mill pond with his skull bashed in. Oh, God makes the water, and the water makes the river, and the river turns the mill wheel, and the wheel goes on forever. I used to wonder why the peasants hated us so strong. They think we picked their pockets, and they weren't far wrong. Flour in the flour sacks, vermin in the flour, peasants waited by the mill, hour after hour. They curse us as they stay in line, enjoy their little talk. My father grinds the flour and replaces it with chalk. Oh, God makes the water makes the river turns the mill wheel, and the wheel goes on forever. When I was only 4 years old, still babyish and unsteady, I tried to play with common folk. They hated me already. They knew I was my father's son. My father serves the Lord. One day I'll show them that hating me something they can't afford. Oh, God makes the water makes the river, and the river turns the mill wheel, and the wheel goes on forever. There's no use looking back, for here's the truth I found. It's hunger, want, and wickedness that makes the world go round. For every man's a sinner, and he wants his neighbor's grain. The peasants move the boundary stone and steal the Lord's domain. The miller steals the flour, and the baker steals the bread. We're hypocrites and liars, and we all get fed. Oh, God makes the water makes the river, and the river turns to the mill wheel, and the wheel goes on forever.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I'm Isabel, the Lord's daughter. I cannot get this stain out of my gown. I have tried chicken feathers, water, and oxcow, and still this mark. My father will be angry, a fine silk gown, spoiled. But it wasn't my fault. I passed through the town on my way to the market, and somebody threw it, a clod of dung. I saw the boys, but didn't know which. I was walking eyes down as a modest maid should. Then it hit me. I looked up and saw them, sniggering, having their smiles in their dirty hands. If I told my father, he would see that they all had a good beating, and maybe I should. Only one threw the clod, only one to be beaten. But which? I cannot take the stain from my gown, or the thought from my mind. They hate me. Why? What have I done with my own soft hands? I have given up bread on Lamb's Day. From my own purse I gave to the poor. And in times of war, those self-same boys would scurry like rats to hide themselves in my father's walls. Yet it's true, I'm better clad, I'm better shod, I'm better fed than those churls. And if I am, the Lord God chose my father to rule. The same he chose them to serve. I do but take what they would take if the Lord God chose to give to them. I want to forget the way they laughed. Their smiles were so ugly. I almost feared they were big boys now, almost men, and I was alone. Except for a maidservant, Emmett. Never mind, my lady, she says to me, but I do mind my gown is spoiled. And never again will I walk through the streets with my eyes cast down.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I'm Barbary the Mudslinger. I shouldn't have done it. I knew it was wrong. When the muck left my hand, it was folly and cruelty, and I wish I hadn't. I was off to buy fish, and my stepmother said, "Take the twins." "Why?" said I. "Both of them?" "Bad enough with one. They're strong now, leaning their weight against my hand, dragging me in circles. I can only carry one. The other hauls at me. How should I manage the shopping?" "Just take them," she said.
and burst into tears. I want them out of the house. Just take them, you hear me? There'll be more come Christmas. 6 months, she said, and the tears rained down her face. Another babe come Christmas. I stood there with my jaw almost touching my knees. More babies? There's the twins up and running. They don't sleep at night. They still puke out most of what you scoop into them. They shriek like hawks all day long. The cottage stinks like a midden. Babies mess everywhere. More babies? I wanted to scold, but my stepmother sank down in the rushes and wailed like a babe herself. It's worse for her than it is for me. Birthing the twins near killed her. So I took up my basket and snatched up the twins, one held by hand, the other on my hip, and we set off for the market. It wasn't easy. The twin on the ground grabbed the fish fry basket and threw it. It landed by the water trough, and I had to wade through the mud to get it back. The twin on my hip seemed quiet enough, till he started to bellow. I smelled something rank and felt it leak down my dress. That's when I saw her, Isabel, the Lord's daughter, dressed in blue. Her hair was combed, sleek as an otter. Her veil was snow white. She had a servant to carry her basket, so her hands are free to pinch up her skirt and pick her way through the muck, daintily, daintily. Her lips were curved like the smile of a cat, and something got into me, maybe 'twas the devil. I let go of the twin, picked up a handful of dung, filth, Lord knows what, and let fly. Bullseye. But I didn't enjoy it, not for more'n a moment, not after I saw her face. She hadn't done anything to me, and this much of mud against her blue gown, the prettiest dress I ever saw, I ruined it. The boys on Shamble Lane laughed. They won't tell me, they're my friends. I saw her eyes pass over me and rest on them. She thought they did it. I ought to have said something. I'm sorry, 'twas my doing. But my little brother picked up something foul and mashed it in his mouth. By the time I got to him, pried open his jaws, fished it out, and bellowed, "No!" She plucked up her skirts to go. Her back went straight as a knife, her head held proud. Poor girl. I was sorry, almost to weeping. On the way home, I went to church. I dragged the twins before the crucifix and knelt down, trying to pray and keep hold at the same time. It wasn't easy. I prayed that God forgive me, that the muck would come out of her gown, that my stepmother wouldn't die. It made me think how all women are the same. Silk or sackcloth, all the same. There are always babies to be born, suckled, wiped, and worried over. And thinking of that, I added one more prayer. Sweet Jesus, come Christmas, don't let it be twins.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I'm Loudy, the boylet's child. Father is a boylet, and boylet serves the Lord. He feeds and tends the master towns and takes a fair reward. I've helped clean the kennels, I've held the puppies on my knees. I love the dogs, but my bones, this house is full of fleas. Fleas in the pottage bowl, fleas in the bread. Blood-sucking fleas in the blankets of our bed, nibbling our buttocks and the backs of our knees, biting and delighting through the night. Those fleas. My mother died when I was born. The house was mine to keep. It's my fault if 10,000 fleas bite us when we sleep. I've used birdlime and turpentine enough to make you sneeze. Elder leaves and lavender, we've still got fleas. Fleas with good appetites, summer salting high. Fleas leading chases, running races on my thigh. Fleas leaping hurdles, they're as strong as Hercules. The master raises hunting dogs, and we raise fleas.
I'm proud of my father as he cares for the dogs and brats. He brings food for the table and dung for a thatch. Even when winter's bad, others starve and freeze. We forage from the kennels, but we also have fleas. I'm used to the lice raising families in my hair. I expect moths to nibble holes in everything I wear. I scrape away the maggots when they crawl across the cheese. I can get used to anything except for those fleas. Fleas between my fingertips, waiting to be squashed. Fleas floating dead in the water where I wash. I itch in the cathedral when I pray upon my knees. Lord, you saved us from Hades, now save us from the fleas.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I'm Marriott. I'm Maud, the glassblower's daughters. None of our father's other apprentices ever won father's approval like Piers. Fathers taught many a boy to blow glass. We've had apprentices year after year, but Piers has the eye for it. That's what our father says. Piers has the lungs. And he's hardworking, too. So father says Piers will inherit the business. That is, if he marries one of us two. Mary, God help us! Piers never speaks to us. Nose in the air, and silent and rude. Even at supper time, Piers doesn't talk. He crouches down low, like a dog at his food. Both of us hate him. Marriott's older than me, and the same age as Piers. If he marries my sister, he'll get the shop sooner. I won't be ready for 5 or 6 years. But Marriott's dear to me. How can I sacrifice her to that boy with the sticking out ears? How can our father be so tyrannical? Nobody in her right mind would want Piers. Maudie is younger. Probably Piers would rather have someone younger instead. And Maudie's so pretty, even though she was the one that put all those slugs in his bed. Piers isn't bad looking, not when he's laughing. His hair isn't combed, his clothes are awry. He'd look a lot better if only he smiled. But Piers is an orphan. He's proud and he's shy. If I have to wed Piers, I'll go out of my mind. It's not that I like him, it's just that it's kinder. The way that he scratches, the way that he peers at what he's scratched up. And of course more fine to treat him with. Earwax, courtesy, grime from his skin. He's alone in the world, and I know that he's often been lonely. He is lousy. His fingernails, ugh! Sometimes when I watch him, I'm aware of a kind of a tug at my conscience. What if I befriended him, mended his tunic, helped to tend to the burns on his fingers, his bedbugs, his fleas? I know what would happen. My sister would tease. And then there's his haircut, the shape of his head. He looks like a hedgehog. What maid wouldn't dread a marriage with one who's so churlish and rough? The truth of the matter, I'm not brave enough. Is that father is thinking. I'm constantly shrinking. Of business and profit, of shillings and pence. I should have more courage and follow my conscience. However Ma teases, I should have more sense. He ought to be thinking about his poor daughters. Why must we submit like lambs to the slaughter? I ought to tell Maud we should both hold our tongues. Must Marriott be wed because Piers has good lungs? I must find a way to follow my conscience. I must find a way to change father's mind. Of course I'm too young to be thinking about marriage. My only thought is to be decent and kind, to marry a man. There's no time to be lost. It's a matter of wait. If I have to accost him, I'm going to tell father that we simply hate Piers. I'll go down on my knees. I'll say, please, I'll shed tears. You share your whole life. I'm willing to beg. Your children, your work days. I'd rather have plague. Your sorrows, your pleasures, your ale, your bread.
I'd rather have leprosy.
Even your bed. I must think over clearly what Father has said. If I have to be wed, and when all is done and said,
I would rather be dead than wed.
I'll wed
Pierce.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I am Nellie the Sniggler. I was born lucky. Nay, not born lucky, as you shall hear, but lucky soon after and ever after. My father and mother were starving poor and dreaded another mouth to feed. When my father saw that as a girl child, he took me up to drown me in a bucket of water. But here's the lucky part, and 'tis your sooth. I didn't drown, babe though I was. I took hold with my wee fingers and held to the side of the bucket. And my mother wept, and my father's heart went soft. He could no more drown me than himself. And they named me Nellie for Queen Eleanor. And their luck changed. First my uncle died of the scurvy, and we got his pigs. Then the nuns at the abbey hired us to catch eels, and we've been snuggling ever since. Do you see these eels? Fresher than the day they were born, and fat as priests. I know where their burrows are, and I know what they like for bait. And as for frogs, I've been catching frogs since I was 2 years old. There's not a frog in Christendom jumps fast enough to get away from me. And I can swim as fast as any boy, better than Drogo the Tanner. Do you know Drogo the Tanner's apprentice? I can't point him out to you because he'd see me. He's always staring at me. Many's the time I seen him peel off his toes to show me his legs, as if every frog I ever put into a pie didn't have better legs than his. We had a brow last summer, and I said 'twas the fault of the tanners that the river stink, and he said 'twas the fault of the fishmongers, which is pure folly. 'Tis surely God's will that fish should rot in the water, the beast should rot on land, and I should got my tongue. And by St. Peter, he pushed me off the wharf into the water. And then, poor fool, he thought I would drown. I, who couldn't drown when I was 3 hours old. He splashed after me, and I dove down deep and grabbed his foot and dunked him 3 times. Serve him right. Only then I had to drag him out of the water because it turns out he can't swim. So I suppose you could say I saved his life. He's never forgotten it. He watches me all the time and shows off his legs. But I don't speak to him. I want nothing to do with him and his legs. I pretend I don't even know his name. And every day I walk past the tannery just so he can see me not looking his way.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I'm Drogo the Tanner's apprentice. I don't mind the stink. I grew up with it, being the son of a butcher. Dead things stink, and that's the will of God, and tanners make good money. I don't mind the work, digging the pits, grinding the oak bark, smearing the hides with dung. Work is work. I like bread in my belly and ale in my cup. I do mind the jeering of Nellie the Sniggler. Her tongue could scrape the hair off a hide. I do mind the townsmen nattering on, saying we fouled the waters. By St. Bartholomew, thinkest thou a man can make leather without filth? alum, lime, oak galls, ashes, tallow, and still beer. These are the tools of my trade. Would you arm your hands in leather gloves, saddle or bridle your horse? Do you dance to the sound of bagpipes or lace up the cords of your armor? What about the bellows heating the forge? It's leather, stinking leather. Do you want good shoes or don't you? So be it. Now let me get on with my scraper and dung. You hold your nostrils and hold your tongue.
Good masters, sweet ladies, I'm Jazz the beggar, the best of my trade. Behold my crushed foot. The sight of the wound would sicken your stomach and soften your heart. A penny? A farthing? I grovel for mercy. Sometimes I manage real tears. It's an art. No takers, no givers, not even a morsel. Ah, there's stone to my pit of cries. And so I'm left to my wits, which in fact are prodigiously keen and surpassingly wise. I enter town with my crutch and my cry, food for the famished, alms for the poor. I stagger, collapse in the dust of the road. I swoon, too exhausted to go one step more. Here comes my father, but I did not know him. I lie by the roadside, starting to wail. My father, the peddler, the dealer in relics. 10 pence for a thread from St. Margaret's Vale. Who carries the thumbnail of Martin of Tours? Or this, better this, give me yours. Flask of the healing holy water. Stand back now, don't push, don't jostle. Flask of the sacred healing holy water used on the feet of St. James Apostle. Sometimes they pay, more often they don't. So he throws up his hands and sighs, like that. Oh, you've no faith. Before you I swear I will cure and heal this unfortunate brat. That's my cue, so I whimper. He opens the flask, anoints me while I seem to faint, with authentic holy water used on the feet of the holy saint. I swoon in his arms, look upward, cry out, see how the peasants steps forward and gawk. Angels, apostles, I see them before me. I throw down my crutch, clasp my hands, and I walk. My father and I rehearse this for hours. Miracles have to be perfect natural. He walks. Praise God and his saints. He walks. If I do it just right, the crowd gasps aloud. They genuflect, weep, stretch out their hands and touch. And while they're paying for the drops of the water, I gather my bandages and pick up my crutch. When my pantomime's done, once the money is paid, I creep out of town. I feel guilt, but not much. My father and I meet by the high road. He gives my supper, my pay, bread or an apple, cabbages or turnips. Sometimes there are sausages on a good day. We sup by the road, ask our Lord to look after us. Send us more fools for our food and our keep. Forgive us our trespasses, pardon our lives. Look after foxes as well as the sheep.